Okay, so the host becomes the guest, my colleague Callum Macaulay. How are you?
Very well, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. So, are you ready for this?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I'm looking forward to being on the other side of the coin.
Sounds good. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and when you started playing and what got you into golf.
Well, I started playing when I was 4 years old. My dad used to take me out onto my local course, Tullyallen Golf Club in Kincardine. And just really fell in love with it. I played a little bit of football. I know that's probably hard to believe for a lot of people listening in, but played a little bit of football when I was 9, 10, 11 years old. But I think when I got to sort of 12, 13, I realised that this is what I wanted to do for a living, and just kind of really fell in love with it as a primary sport then.
So, when did you realise that you wanted to go down the scholarship route?
Well, I always remember I had a really, really bad um, case of duck hooking the ball, hitting it straight left when I was like 14. And my dad took me up to St Andrews. He'd heard about this coach, Elliot Rowan, up in St Andrews. And I went up there for a few months and I really worked hard at what he was trying to tell me. And I really seen a big difference and got a lot of confidence, started playing a bit better, started getting some decent results just really in junior medals and county boys stuff. And then I really, really felt like I could take it to the next level. I did also feel like I had to go to the States to do it. I felt like getting the best weather, the best facilities, that was going to be the option for me. But my only really goal was to become a professional golfer then when I was probably 15, 16, and I felt like going to America was the right way.
Perfect. So, I can imagine you were playing at such a high level as a junior, and I'm sure you had plenty of offers. What made you choose the University of Mississippi?
I had a really good conversation with the coach. So I obviously I went through FirstPoint as well in 2001, and at that time there wasn't a lot of content on the internet. You know, obviously the internet was a relatively new thing back then. I feel like a dinosaur for saying that. So back then I was getting sort of brochures and leaflets and things sent through from the coaches' athletic departments. Um, North Florida, Coastal Carolina, Ole Miss, and Florida State were kind of four notable ones that I'd been offered with. I'd had a couple of conversations with coaches on the phone, and I just didn't really get a great vibe from the coaches I was speaking to until I spoke with my coach at Ole Miss. Woody Cowart, his name was, had a great rapport with him. He told me about the kind of southern traditions at Ole Miss and how big an athletic department it was, how famous the football team was, etc. And I just felt like that was somewhere that I would settle into. I spoke to my mum and dad. They were happy with the financial commitment to it and committed to go to the University of Mississippi.
Perfect. So, as you mentioned, you went through First Point. What was your
Mm.
experience back then like going through this company?
Yeah, it was great. I think what's really vital to understand, whether you use FirstPoint or any other company, is having the workload taken off you. There is so much that goes into securing a scholarship in the United States. It's not just a case of, "Hi, coach, it's Callum. Here's my golf game. Here's my school grades. Can I come and play for you?" There's a lot of other things that go into it, all the paperwork, the promotion, the reach out to all these universities, and to have that taken off my hands was great. I didn't really know a lot about it. I remember our CEO, our current CEO and chief exec, Andrew Keane. He came to my house back then. He also had some hair at the time, and he told me all about his time at the University of Cincinnati. And I thought, I think if I'm going to go to a school and go to a really good institution in the States, I'm going to need some help to do it. And thankfully, it all worked out for the best. And here we are back 20 years later.
Yeah, it's definitely come full circle for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best story that you have from your time in the US?
Oh, I've got a lot. It's actually probably not golf related, but when I first got there, I mean, Ole Miss is in the Southeastern Conference, the best American football conference in the States. When I first got there, I knew absolutely nothing about college football. I knew absolutely nothing about the traditions at Ole Miss and tailgating in the Grove, which is a really famous kind of acreage of land in the campus. And my teammate at the time, Jordan Dempsey, who now coaches at Sawgrass, he told me about the game against Florida that was coming up. Florida were a top 5 nationally ranked team at the time. He said everybody's going to be dressed up, and every single week at Ole Miss at a football game, all the girls are looking as good as they can. All the guys have got their khaki trousers on and their button-down shirt, and it's like a wedding. It's like a huge, huge wedding. So I said, well, I'm going to get my kilt. So I got my mum to send my kilt over, and of course, Oxford, Mississippi's probably never seen a guy in a kilt in its life. And I remember getting all dressed up and just walking around the Grove with my kilt on, and the amount of people that spoke to me. And then we ended up beating Florida on the day, and everyone ran onto the field. And it was a special time, because that's what really opened my eyes up just to how big college sport is, and just how big college football is really in the States.
Yeah, it is totally different. The way they treat sport is on a different level. So what was the biggest thing that surprised you in your transition from the UK to a scholarship in the States?
Well, I think off the bat, just the size and scale of it. The competition for places in the team, the standard of, just even the freshmen, the sophomores at the same age as me, just how good they were. I ended up sitting out my first year in redshirting just because I wasn't at the level. So that was an eye opener for me right away. Just the fact that I thought I was a good player, but when you get there, you just realise there's so many other good players and so many players better than you. But it definitely spurred me on to get better, and I think that's ultimately why I managed to get to the level that I did, because I realised that I had to step it up a few gears. Another thing that stood out for me was the conditions. Going from playing typically links, not so much links golf, because I didn't grow up on a links course, but the grass is completely different in Scotland. Going to a really thick Bermuda grass in Mississippi, having to kind of change the way I played the game. I was very much a low ball flight, low chipper, low pitcher, but when the grass is so thick, the ball gets caught up, and I had to learn how to hit different shots. So again, that was something that helped me overall. Just trying to adapt to conditions, and just I think the way that college golf is operated, having a lot of tournaments you play are 36 holes in the one day without stopping. Your stamina has to be good, your fitness has to be up there. So there was a lot of things in my game that I had to change, and I think it made me the player that I eventually became, just because I had to learn how to change.
Okay, final question. What's the one piece of advice that you would give to any young athlete that is considering going down the scholarship route?
Well, I think what's important is that they understand that this opportunity is definitely not for everybody. I think they have to realise that it has to be them that makes the decision. Peer pressure from other people, just because your friend's done it or your idol's done it, doesn't mean it's right for you. I think you have to deep down believe that this is something you can commit to for 4 years. You can give everything that you have. You're prepared to do the schoolwork, because that's more important than anything. You have to make sure you get your degree. But I knew when I was 16 this is what I wanted to do, and I think for someone who's sitting on the fence, perhaps, whether I should do this or not, I weighed up what I had at home. Although I had a great support network with my family, I didn't think I could get my golf game to the next level staying in Scotland. The facilities aren't good enough. The weather's definitely not good enough. And the competition's nowhere near the size and scale of it as it is in the States. The infrastructure that's in place, the practice facilities, the golf courses you get to play, the players you're playing against, how can you not become a better player playing against that sort of environment every day? So I think you just need to make sure it's right for you. You need to make sure you know what you're looking to get out of this journey. And ultimately for me, it was to get my degree and to give myself a platform to become a pro.
Great. So the end of the interviews, you always ask these questions. So I'm going to turn around and ask you, what are you currently watching on Netflix?
I am watching Filthy Rich, about Jeffrey Epstein. I've just finished that actually. I've been watching McMillions, which is actually on Sky Documentaries about the McDonald's monopoly scenario, and we're watching a show called The Catch, which is about a private investigator. So,
Okay.
what's going on?
Yeah, lots. McMillions is on my list, and I definitely
Yep.
can't wait to watch that. Favorite food?
Mexican, without a doubt. Not even close.
Tex-Mex. Do you miss that from?
Yeah. I mean, I used to eat a lot of Mexican food in the States, and I've carried it home with me. So yeah, love it.
It's totally different out there. Favorite sport outside of golf?
American football by a mile.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite team?
I don't really have a favourite team. I tend to follow a lot of the players that played at Ole Miss, so I know if they get drafted. So I know there's a couple of really, really good receivers just now that play for Tennessee, and one plays for the Seahawks. I was probably a Giants fan for a few years because Eli Manning was the quarterback, but he just retired last year. So I don't really have a team. I just love watching it, and I love watching the college football on a Saturday as well.
Very cool. Have you picked up any hobbies during lockdown? Now, I know that you have two little boys that have kept you very busy and were viral sensations, but besides that, have you had any other time on your hands to figure anything else out?
Not really. I've been doing a lot of cooking, a lot of baking, but that's stuff that I'm used to doing anyway. I wouldn't say I have any of my own hobbies. We've taught the youngest wee lad how to ride a bike. Just lots of things going on. We've got, as you said, we've got a lot of time to spend with them. So, no, I wouldn't say I've got any new hobbies.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for your time today and having the shoe on the other foot and being a guest on our big interview.
Thanks, Rachel. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.